Asterisk, the snow fell sideways that day. Not like a lullaby, but like ash from a sky that forgot how to breathe. Asterisk Micah Dorsey stood outside the old tavern, one boot planted in slush, the other on a patch of frozen gravel that hadn't seen sun since. October. His coat collar was turned up, wool scarf too thin. Wind blew through his bones the same way silence had for the last 5 years. Asterisk in his hand, a crumpled slip of paper. A time, a name, asterisk his sister had sent it weeks ago, a favor, she'd called it, a joke maybe. "You gotta stop talking to ghosts, Micah," she wrote. "Go meet someone alive." Asterisk he didn't laugh then. He didn't now, a blind date. He hadn't been on a date since before the war. Since before his wife bled out in the back of a sod house clutching a son that hadn't cried yet. Since he buried her beneath a crook cedar and carved her name with a horseshoe nail. Asterisk now he was here, 40 miles from home. His boy, Henry, was sleeping by the hearth of a neighbor with no teeth and a sharp memory for names Micah couldn't pronounce. He left him with a note back by dusk. If not, tell him I tried. He stepped inside. The tavern was warm in the way damp wool is warm. Too many bodies, not enough windows. A fire snapped in the stone hearth, but the smoke curled, like it was trying to get out. Asterisk Micah sat at the back, near the frosted window, one candle on the table, his hat in his hands. The waitress asked if he wanted ale. He said no. She asked if he wanted anything else. He looked at the door. She didn't ask again. Asterisk. Outside, the snow thickened. Hoofs passed, some fast, some dragging. A wagon creaked to a halt. The door didn't open. The candle flickered. Asterisk, then it did. Asterisk, a gust blew in with her. Wind, snow, and something else. The sound of old leather and newer silence. She stepped in like she belonged to no one. Asterisk Micah straightened. She wasn't what he expected. Not a widow in lace or a schoolmarm with warm cheeks. No perfume, no blush. No hesitation. Asterisk she wore cavalry blues, coat faded and frayed, boots too. Her knees, saber at her hip, and shoulders square like she hadn't learned to bow. Her face was sun-bitten, sharp around the jaw. Her eyes, dark and unreadable, swept the room in one blink. Asterisk. And then came the children. 5, not trailing like ducklings. No, moving with practiced order. The oldest, a boy maybe 12, scanned the corners. The second, a girl with close-cropped hair, guided the littlest by hand. 2 more came last, twins perhaps, with one dragging a threadbare pack across the wood floor. Asterisk every voice in the room quieted. Asterisk the barkeep muttered under breath, "That's Captain Keller." She weren't supposed to come back. Asterisk Micah stood. Slowly, asterisk she saw him. She didn't smile. Asterisk she only walked to the table, boots thudding soft and steady, and sat. Her gloves came off like she was unbuttoning old armor. One by one, the children took seats beside her. No one spoke. Micah swallowed once. "I'm Micah." She nodded. Her voice was lower than expected, controlled. "Clara Keller." Asterisk he waited. She said no more. Asterisk she glanced at the waitress, who hadn't moved. "Bread, water, if you have stew, 5 bowls." Asterisk her tone was not cruel, not cold, just used to not asking twice. Micah watched her. His hands didn't know what to do. He placed them palm down. She noticed. "You don't talk much," she said. "I used to." Asterisk, "Why'd you stop?" Asterisk Micah looked at the smallest girl. Her hands were in fists, dirt under each nail. Asterisk he shrugged. "Didn't help much." Asterisk Clara turned to her children. "Say thank you, he paid." 5 voices murmured thanks. Micah blinked. "I didn't." Asterisk but the food arrived. She pulled her bowl close and dipped the spoon like it was a ritual. The children followed. Asterisk they ate like soldiers, fast, efficient, no slurping. No complaints. Asterisk outside, wind howled against the windows. A shutter banged loose. No one looked. Asterisk he watched her more than he meant to, the way she tilted her head when listening, the way her eyes moved faster than her mouth ever did. He thought of asking questions, where she came from, why 5 children? Why now? Asterisk, but something in him knew. She wasn't the kind to spill without reason. And she wasn't here to be rescued. Asterisk, he looked at the boy, the oldest. He wasn't hers. None of them were. Their skin tones were different. Their eyes, hair, posture. But they sat like a family built by storm. Not blood? Micah's throat tightened. I got a boy, he said suddenly. Asterisk, she didn't ask. Just waited. Asterisk. Henry, 7, quiet, smarter than me. Asterisk, Clara nodded. Good name. Asterisk, the smallest twin, reached over and touched Micah's hat. She didn't take it, just held the rim for a moment, then pulled her hand back. Micah let her. The storm had gathered hard now. Windows fogged. Outside shapes moved in shades, horses disappearing into white. Inside the tavern, the fire sank low. Asterisk, Clara looked toward the bar. Her back TNs, ED, asterisk, 2 men had come in. Wearing dust and suspicion, one leaned too long on the doorframe. One had a scar across his nose and eyes that didn't match. They looked at her. Clara didn't blink. She slid her spoon to the edge of her plate. The handle faced her palm. Micah spoke first. Friends of yours? She said nothing. The scarred man chuckled low. Ain't that Captain Keller? Heard she died crossing the gray spine. Guess she made it, said the other. They moved closer. Micah stood. One of the children coughed. Clara stayed seated. The waitress began stacking dishes too loudly. The barkeep reached under the counter. The air in the tavern thickened. Then Clara spoke. If you take one more step toward these children, I'll break your knee first. Asterisk, it wasn't a threat. It was a prophecy. Asterisk. The scarred man stopped. The other snorted, turned away. Asterisk, Clara's shoulders loosened, just slightly. Her hands didn't leave the spoon. Micah exhaled. The waitress whispered, They're bounty men. She's got a price. Asterisk, Clara met Micah's gaze. They want me, not them. Asterisk, what did you do? Asterisk, I lived. Asterisk, Micah nodded. That's sometimes enough. Asterisk, she looked away. For the first time, something flickered behind her eyes. Exhaustion, maybe. Or something heavier. Her mouth pressed tight. The wind outside screamed again, rattling every board in the place. I got a wagon, he said. Not far. If you want, safer than here. She studied him. You don't know me. Asterisk, storm's comin'. That's all I need to know. She hesitated, then stood. Asterisk, the children followed. One slipped, and Micah reached, caught her wrist before she hit the floor. She looked up, startled. He didn't let go right away. Neither. Did she? Asterisk, the scarred man watched as they left. But did nothing? Asterisk, Micah led them to the wagon. It was modest. Canvas patched in places. One oil lamp hung from the beam. He helped the twins up first. Clara helped the others. Last, she climbed in. Her back grazed his hand. She didn't turn. Inside, the cold settled like a guest with no name. Micah sat on a crate near the edge. Boots out in the snow? She watched her children curl beneath blankets, close together like birds who forgot how to fly. Asterisk, Micah, she said finally. He looked over. She took off her coat. Her shoulder was bandaged beneath. Old blood. A tear. In the fabric, asterisk, I was left behind, she said. My company. We were ambushed crossing a ridge near Fort Shelby. Command left us, called us expendable. She looked toward the sleeping children. They weren't soldiers, just orphans. Camp followers. They walked beside me for 80 miles. Micah didn't answer. Clara rubbed her face. She looked so tired, the kind of tired buried under skin and silence. Asterisk, I'm not looking for pity. She said. Asterisk, I know. Asterisk, she blinked. Once, twice, then, why'd you really come tonight? Asterisk, he thought about it. The house. The fire that didn't warm him. The boy who asked about a mother he barely remembered. Asterisk, to see if I could still sit across from someone, he said. Without flinching, asterisk, she nodded. Did you? He looked at her, the soldier, the mother, the stranger, and he shook his head once. No. Outside, the wind screamed again. Inside, the silence held them both. Asterisk, and somewhere in the stillness between footsteps and memory, a blind date became something else. Not love, not hope. Asterisk, just the first breath. Before the storm. Asterisk. The frost came in through the seams of the canvas, but the children didn't stir. Asterisk, Micah hadn't slept, not really. He sat outside the wagon most of the night, boots planted in the snow, back resting against the wheel, shotgun across his knees. Not because he expected trouble, but because some part of him still didn't believe this was real. Asterisk, behind him, 6 strangers breathed quietly in the dark, and yet, somehow, it didn't feel like a mistake. Asterisk, at dawn, the light came gray and reluctant, spreading across the land like a slow forgiveness. The town of Ash Hollow yawned to life, one chimney at a time. A bell clanged near the livery. Somewhere, a rooster that hadn't crowed in weeks gave a broken warble, like it had finally remembered how. Asterisk, Micah stood, joints stiff. He turned toward the wagon. Clara was already awake. She sat with her legs crossed near the open flap, sharpening a blade with slow, practiced pulls. The steel edge caught the morning like it didn't want to be seen. Asterisk, her coat was back on, but not buttoned. Beneath it, the wound on her shoulder looked redder than it had the night before. Asterisk, Micah stepped closer. You shouldn't be lifting. Asterisk, she didn't look up. If I stop moving, I stop mattering. Asterisk, his voice was quiet. That true, or just what the war taught you? She didn't answer. The girl who touched his hat yesterday stirred and opened one eye. She didn't speak, just reached for Clara's sleeve and held on like it anchored her to the world. Clara shifted, letting the girl rest her face on her arm. Asterisk, Micah knelt beside the wagon. You don't have to keep running. Asterisk, Clara's jaw flexed. Asterisk, they have faces, she whispered. Names, but that bounty out there doesn't mention any of it. It just says Keller Clara, desertion, reward $60, dead or alive. Micah didn't flinch. She turned the knife in her hands. I didn't run from duty. I ran toward them. The day I stopped fighting men, I started fighting for children. Micah let the silence settle between them. Behind the tavern, a door slammed. Footsteps crunched through old snow. Clara's back stiffened again, instinct burning through exhaustion. But it wasn't the bounty hunters. It was an old woman wrapped in thick pelts, thin as bone, walking with a cane carved from driftwood and age. Her skin was like leather from 1,000 winters. Her hair, long and loose, still carried streaks of black through silver. Asterisk, Clara stood halfway. Micah took a breath. Asterisk, the old woman didn't speak. She looked at Clara, then the children, then Micah. Her eyes stayed on him longer. Asterisk, wounded ones, she said in a low, gravel voice. All of you. Asterisk, Micah straightened. Do I know you? Asterisk, she sniffed once, amused. You knew my sister, midwife, died in your barn 6 winters back. Asterisk, he blinked. Mary Redhawk. She nodded. I didn't know she had kin left. Asterisk, not many, she said. I live in the hills now, folks say. I talk to ghosts. Asterisk, Clara tilted her head slightly. Do you? Asterisk, only when they answer. No one laughed. The old woman reached into a burlap sack and pulled out a pot wrapped in cloth. Asterisk. Soup, it's bitterroot and dried elk, will fill their bones. She handed it to Clara, but held her wrist a moment longer than needed. Then she looked at Micah again. Her eyes did not blink. Soldiers sometimes come back, not for war, but for forgiveness. Make room. Then she turned and left, her cane thudding in the snow like a heartbeat the world had forgotten. Clara said nothing. She just stirred the soup with a whittled spoon and fed the children one by one. She ate last. Later Micah showed them his house. It was nothing fancy wood frame. 2 rooms and a stove that needed coaxing. The yard was mud and patches of last year's frostbitten grass. But Henry's coat still hung by the door, and the fire he'd left half-built still waited in the hearth. Asterisk, Clara walked the perimeter first, like she was scouting it for danger. Micah watched her face change as she stepped into the kitchen, tension flickering, softening as she saw the bowl of apples on the counter. Asterisk, the girl with the quiet hands, went straight to the window, drew a foggy circle on the pane, and stared out. Clara finally looked at Micah. You left it like you meant to come back. Asterisk, I did. He paused. So can you? Asterisk, she didn't answer. Not yet. Hours passed. The children settled slowly. One helped Micah chop wood. Another lined the boots by the fire without being asked. They didn't ask for toys or sweets. They only looked at the roof, the stove. The floor-like shelter was a story they used to believe in. Asterisk, that night, Micah found Henry's old sketchbook beneath the bed. Asterisk, blank pages. One or two smudged with faint attempts at drawing a horse or a storm. He left it on the table. The littlest girl found it. With a piece of charcoal, she began to sketch slow, deliberate lines. Micah leaned in. It was Clara and him, standing shoulder to shoulder, behind them. A house burning, but they weren't running. Micah swallowed. Did you draw this? Asterisk, the girl didn't answer. Just nodded once, shy. Asterisk, that night, Clara didn't sleep much. Neither did Micah. She paced the front room like a wolf in unfamiliar woods. You don't have to stay, she said at one point. I can move on tomorrow. They'll follow me. I'm not safe to be near. Asterisk, you are, he said. They're not. Her eyes stayed on the fire. I can't lose another one, she whispered. I told myself I'd die before I let another child get left behind. Asterisk, Micah sat. His voice was low, steady. Asterisk, my boy was born while my wife died. I held her hand, and it went cold while he cried. Clara turned toward him. I didn't cry for a year, Micah said. Not until I heard him say her name in his sleep. Asterisk, Clara said nothing. But her fingers trembled. Asterisk, that night, a blizzard. Rolled through wine like a freight of old wolves, slamming the shutters, shaking the doors. One of the children woke screaming. Another whimpered. Micah lit a lantern and made tea. Clara sang something words not in English. A lullaby made of smoke and sorrow. The children calmed. Asterisk, by morning, the world outside was white. Silence deeper than sleep. Asterisk, Micah stepped outside and looked toward town. One figure moved. Asterisk, a man on horseback, hat low. Coat long, his horse moved slow, deliberate, like it didn't trust the ground. Asterisk, Clara came to the door. She didn't speak, but her eyes knew. Micah raised his hand to shield from glare. That him? Asterisk, Clara didn't move. Captain Ryland. My former CO, he left us to die near Fort Shelby. Asterisk, he's the one spreading the bounty? She nodded once. What does he want now? Clara's jaw clenched. To finish the lie. Asterisk, by afternoon, Ryland was in the tavern, boots kicked up, drinking like he was owed something. His voice was too loud. Too smooth, asterisk. Deserters in your town? He told the barkeep. Brought half the frontier with her. 5 war orphans, olive and brainwashed. Poor kids don't even know she's the reason their folks died. Asterisk, he tipped a coin, smiled. Sheriff ought to be by tomorrow. Thought I'd pay a visit early. Be neighborly. Asterisk, Micah was already watching from the corner. He'd walked into town alone. He walked out faster. Asterisk, Clara didn't ask what Ryland said. She just looked at Micah's hands. They were shaking. Why are you doing this? She asked. He looked at her. I don't know. Asterisk, then stop. Asterisk, he exhaled. I can't. Asterisk, the children played in the next room. Someone laughed. The sound cut through the room like a prayer. Asterisk, that night they made a fire outside. Clara cooked stew. The children brought stones to ring the flames. Micah told Henry's favorite story. About the time a deer chased him through the woods because he'd spilled jam on his shirt. Asterisk, the children laughed. Even Clara smiled. Micah caught it. Just a flicker, asterisk, and then the girl with the charcoal brought the sketchbook again, a new page. This time, it showed all of them, around a fire. Safe, asterisk, Micah couldn't breathe for a moment. Clara placed her hand over the drawing. Not to cover it, asterisk, but to hold it down? Like a promise, no one spoke the rest of the night. The wind died, asterisk, and somewhere far off, a sheriff's horse crested the ridge. Trouble was coming, but for the first time in years. Micah didn't want to run, he wanted to stand, asterisk. The sheriff rode in before sunrise, asterisk hooves crunching on old ice, badge catching the cold morning light. He wore a black duster and no smile, and when he dismounted outside the general store, Not a single window shutter stirred. Asterisk Micah stood by the woodpile, axe frozen mid-swing. He saw the lawman's face, tired, blank, familiar. With the weight of false orders, Asterisk Clara was already at the window, watching, measuring the distance between fear and strategy. Asterisk, the sheriff'll do what he's told, she said. Relens. Got papers, a signature. And you've got the truth, Micah said. She didn't look at him. Truth doesn't print posters. Asterisk inside, the children sat in silence. The girl with the sketches held the book close to her chest like a shield. The oldest boy stood behind her, fists clenched. No one spoke. Micah closed the axe into its stump and went inside. What do you want me to do? Asterisk Clara's voice was low. Nothing, Asterisk. He stepped forward. I'm done doing nothing. There was a long pause. Then, quietly, she said, if it turns violent, I'll draw them away. You keep the children. Micah's blood ran cold. That's not a plan, that's a death wish. Asterisk Clara picked up her coat. Her side was still healing, slow and angry beneath the bandages. She winced. Covered it, Asterisk. It's the only plan I've got. Asterisk, no, Micah said, stepping in front of the door. It's not. A knock came before either of them could say another word. Slow, measured, 2 knocks, 1 pause. 2 again. Micah opened it. The sheriff stood, tall on the porch, a dusting of frost across his shoulders. His horse waited behind him, reins trailing. Asterisk, he removed his hat. Clara Keller. Asterisk Clara stepped forward. Captain Keller. Asterisk, he glanced at Micah, then the children. Then back to her. Asterisk. There's a warrant, he said. Signed. Says you're to be taken into custody. Transported south. Asterisk, what's the charge? Asterisk, desertion. Endangerment of minors. Asterisk Clara stepped forward. And who signed it? Asterisk, the sheriff hesitated. Captain Rilland? Asterisk, she laughed, hollow and bitter. Of course. Asterisk Micah stood between her and the lawman. You know this isn't justice? Asterisk, I don't get paid to know, the sheriff said. Just to deliver. Asterisk, you know what she did. You know who Rilland is? Asterisk, the sheriff looked down. Then back up. You've got till sundown. Asterisk, Micah blinked. What? Asterisk, the lawman stepped back. I didn't say that, not officially. But if I come back and you're still here, papers. Or no, I'll have to do my job. Asterisk, he put his hat back on. Make peace with your road. And then he left. Clara sat on the porch, silent for a long time. Asterisk, the children didn't ask what it meant. They knew, asterisk, that night, the storm held its breath. Asterisk Clara packed a small bag. She kissed each child's forehead. She wrote names on paper, where they came from, what they'd survived. She handed it to Micah. Asterisk, you're better for them than I am now. No, yes, she said. You still believe in tomorrow. Asterisk, Micah took her wrist. Don't go, asterisk. I have to. Asterisk, you don't. Asterisk, I'm tired, Micah. I'm tired of being hunted. Of running with little legs behind me? She turned to go, then the sound came. Hoofs, too many. Micah stepped outside, 3 riders. Rilland among them, guns visible. No law in sight, asterisk Clara. Followed him, fast. He couldn't wait till sundown. Micah reached for his rifle. Rilland dismounted slowly. His voice called through the open dark, asterisk. Well. Thought you might slink off, but here you are, making it easier. Asterisk Clara stepped forward, gun at her side. Still can't finish a war without hiding behind paperwork? Asterisk Rilland smiled. Still dressing like a man, Keller? Asterisk Micah stepped between them. She has children in that house, asterisk. They're not hers. Asterisk, they're not yours either. The 2 riders flanked out. Rilland spat. We got 2 choices, surrender, or we drag you behind a horse like the deserter you are. Clara raised the revolver. I have a third. Micah's rifle came up. Everything froze. Then a crack of thunder. A shot. One of Rilland's. Men, too jumpy. Bullet grazed Micah's shoulder. Asterisk. He dropped. Not hard, but enough. The oldest boy screamed. Suddenly it broke. The scene exploded. Asterisk. The boy ran at one of the men. Tackling him low, asterisk Clara fired. Once, then again, hitting. Snow, forcing them back. Micah crawled to cover, blood staining the snow. The children poured out behind him. The girl with the sketchbook stood over him. Shaking. "Stay down," Micah gasped. Another shot, and Ryland was suddenly at Clara's side, grabbing the barrel, twisting it. They fought. No elegance, just survival. Fist, knees, elbows. Ryland got in one punch. Clara staggered, but she didn't fall. Instead, she drove her head into his chest. Knocking him off balance, he went down, groaning. She stood over him, gun cocked. "You left us. You called us acceptable loss?" Ryland spat blood. "You think that matters now? You're nothing, Keller. No rank. No flag, just a ghost." Clara's finger hovered over the trigger. Micah stood, blood at his side. The children watched, wide-eyed, frozen in the still. He whispered, "Don't." She didn't move. He stepped closer. "Let it end here, not with another grave." Ryland laughed through blood. "Do it. Prove you're just like me." Clara stared down at him. Then she lowered the gun. No. She turned to the sheriff, who'd appeared on the ridge above, rifle in hand, unseen until now. "You see this?" she called out. He nodded. "Then do your job. Take him." The sheriff descended, slow, silent. He cuffed Ryland without a word. The children ran to Clara. Micah dropped his rifle. His voice trembled. "I thought you were leaving." She looked at him, chest heaving. "I was, you're not now?" "I don't know." Micah nodded. "Then let's figure it out. Together." She looked at the children. At the blood in the snow. At the fire still burning in her hands. And for once she let herself cry. That night. They burned Ryland's poster in the hearth. The girl drew again. This time, Clara stood not in front of fire, but beside it. Micah stood with her, the children. 2. No weapons. No uniforms, just them, together. The spring came early that year. Grass climbed through the ice. The wind softened. Micah taught the oldest boy how to fish. Clara taught the twins how to load kindling. No one said, "Forever." No one said, "Safe." But sometimes, when the moon was quiet and the children slept between quilts made of old uniforms, Micah and Clara would sit on the porch and speak without words, and that was enough.